I'm Angela Kearney, and I wanted to share with everyone why this Christmas is going to be different than any other Christmas I've had in my life. I was baptized when I was 9 years old. I grew up going to church every Sunday morning and Sunday nights, Wednesday nights. I thought I lived a pretty good life. I made good grades through high school and college, and I didn't do drugs. Um, I stayed out of trouble for the most part. So I never actually really had a reason to question my faith. It was always just kind of implied. And when I was 15, we had moved up to New York, and up there I didn't really have a church home. So at that point, kind of started growing away from the church. But still didn't have a reason, still believed or thought I believed and had faith in God up until just recently when things took a turn and kind of hit rock bottom. When I had hit rock bottom, I realized that all my life, even though I believed, something had been missing, and I wasn't really sure exactly what that was, but something was missing. And ultimately, I think it led to Satan being able to move in and kind of seek, kill, and destroy. And he almost succeeded, because I found myself there at the lowest point of my life. And at that point, I just hit my knees and I just began to pray. I had hated who I'd become. I didn't know who I was, didn't know how I got there, but I needed help, and I just prayed to him to please help me. And at that time, it was kind of this rush came over me. It was almost as if there were flashbacks through my life, and I wasn't really sure exactly what it kind of meant at first, and then I realized that I think it was God opening my eyes. And even though I had what I had thought led a good life, it was more of a godless self-reliance. I guess I had always turned to myself, and I had never really turned to God. Later on, I was kind of sitting there, and for some reason, I don't even know why, I was looking at Facebook. And the very first thing that popped up was the status of this girl. She's kind of an acquaintance, doesn't live anywhere here, doesn't know anything about my life or what was going on, or couldn't have known anything. But as her status, she had this verse. And it said, "So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you, and I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." It was Isaiah 41:10. And I knew at that moment that help was on the way, and it was coming soon. The next day was it was a pretty difficult day. There was a lot going on, but it was pretty hard to go through. And at the end of the day, I was kind of sitting there by myself and was just thinking. And I was thinking about the night before, when everything had happened. And I actually, at that moment, kind of began to question myself, kind of the way we do, in which when people kind of come to faith or find God and all these certain moments, and people have a tendency to question them and wonder if they're just trying to cover themselves or if they're just trying to look good to everybody. And at that moment, I don't know why, but I kind of questioned myself whether I had done that, if I had made it all up, and it didn't really happen. So again, I got down on my knees and I just started praying that, Jesus, please tell me that you're here. Just tell me that you're in this place with me and that you're going to help me. And then suddenly I was drawn, and can't really explain it, but I was just drawn to something. And the next thing I know is that I was staring at the Bible. And at that moment, I knew that he was there. that I had called out, and he was there with me. And I picked up the Bible and I held it. And as I held it, it was like I could feel arms wrap around me, like I was being held, and that everything was going to be okay. And then suddenly I went and heard that verse, "So do not fear, for I am with you." And I knew without a doubt at that moment he saved me and filled me with the Holy Spirit. And even though I was baptized when I was 9 and I thought I had led my life that way, I realized at that moment that that's when it really happened. And that the Holy Spirit had come into me. And so I sat there holding the Bible, and I didn't really know where to start. I didn't know if I should just start reading from the beginning. I wasn't really sure if he had anything else to say to me. So I thought, do I just start from the beginning, go from beginning to end, or do I just kind of open it up and close my eyes and point to a verse, kind of like when I did when I was little? And then I put it down, and when I opened it up, and the Gideon Bible is all these verses for help in time of need. And that's where I started. And I knew that it just had to be, I had to be in that place at that time with this Bible, that it had to be all that way. As much as I hated everything that had happened, I had to come to that rock bottom in order to truly turn to Jesus. From that moment on, my life just changed dramatically. Miracles were happening just daily. My prayers were being answered. I think that even though my whole life I had prayed, I realized it was praying without a faithful heart. And now I was praying, and he was listening and answering prayers. And these miracles were happening that could only be explained by God's amazing grace and mercy. It's the only explanation there could be, is that everything was coming from God. And there was a night during that I was driving in my car, and I hadn't really been listening to the radio. I had it turned down. There was just kind of too much going on in my mind. And for some reason, I turned the radio up, and this song was coming on. It was just the beginning of it. And as I was listening, I thought, that's me. It was speaking directly to me. And it was about everything that had just happened. And it was the song "You Are More" by 10th Avenue North. And the one part of the song was, it says, it's not about what you've done, but what's been done for you. It's not about where you've been, but where your brokenness brings you to. And it's not about what you feel, but what he felt to forgive you. And it was so powerful, especially to me. And it says, it's true. It doesn't matter what you've done or where you've been or what your circumstances are, that Jesus is there to save you. And he's there holding out his hand, ready to pick you up and offer you forgiveness. And I know for me, it was not just everything changed, it gave me new life and recreated me to be who he designed me to be. I was remade.
You are more than the choices that you've made.